Bipolar rollers, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to my channel. And before we get started, I just want to remind everybody that to hit that like button and smash that notification bell so you can be told when my videos pop up, and subscribe by all means, because I've noticed that a lot of people who watch my videos, they aren't quite subscribers yet. So don't be one of those. Subscribe to join our Bipolar roller family. I want to talk today about criticism, and I know I've done a video on this already, and the video was about how us with bipolar deal with a lot of criticism. And someone with bipolar mentioned that it would be a good idea to do a video on how critical we are as bipolar people and why that is. And I thought it was a great idea for a video, so hey, you guys, keep those ideas coming because I do appreciate it. I would like to do more and more videos, and so any suggestions, I'm certainly very open to taking them. So don't be afraid to make some suggestions in the comments. I think I've narrowed it down to about 6 very important symptoms of bipolar disorder that make us fairly critical of others to a degree, and a lot of it, I believe, stems from bipolar depression. Often when we're manic, I don't think we're as critical. We get a little self-absorbed and we think everything's kind of possible. But when our depression hits, man, okay. So let's cover some of these, all right? I know that those of us with bipolar, when we get into our depressive spectrum, one thing that's common is we get like a sadness or a lack of pleasure. I believe they call it dysthymia, but it's 2 very common manifestations of depression in people with bipolar. Out of nowhere, or for just cause, we get this sadness and inability to find any pleasure in things, and naturally that's going to make us a little critical of things and people, others, basically. I don't know if you've ever tried to not be critical when you're very sad or not able to get any pleasure out of anything, but it's awfully tough. It is awfully tough. I'm not saying it's fair. I've said from day one, the beginning of this journey that I've had with these videos, is that it takes a special someone to be with someone with bipolar. You can be with someone with bipolar if you have low self-esteem, or you don't know how to put your foot down, or you're not as confident in yourself, you're not aware of mental illness and how it affects people, or if you tend to take things personally. It is possible to have a relationship with someone with bipolar if you have any of those characteristics in your personality, but I don't recommend it, and it's not as likely. So you definitely, if you're going to date someone with bipolar, you better make sure that you're up for the challenge, you know. And sometimes when I say stuff like that, people get defensive and say, well, why doesn't the bipolar do more work? Why do these people have to have all these characteristics? And look, this is a mental illness, right? So as much as we'd love to be able to control it, that's not how mental illnesses work. And we can do everything we can to stifle the symptoms and to work on recognizing them and doing battle with them, having less of them. But let's face it, if you plan to swim across the ocean, you better be a damn good swimmer. You know, you can't, no one would critique you for saying you should be a good swimmer to swim across the ocean. I mean, yeah, you might be able to do it if you're not that great of a swimmer, but your odds are a lot slimmer. So let's be realistic here. If you're going to be with someone with bipolar, you should probably have a good idea of what your strengths are and whether they're going to be compatible with the long haul, right? Now, another thing, and this plagued me a lot during the early times of my bipolar, is the irritability. A For me, it used to be every morning I'd wake up and I would just be irritable. I think I didn't realize this then, but I was pretty unhappy with my life. I was with a partner that I didn't feel I could trust to be monogamous or faithful. I was dealing with depression that just never seemed to go away. I was miserable at the job that I was at, and I felt like my income wasn't enough to really help me feel like I was contributing to the household. There was a lot of things, but that irritability stuck with me, and in the morning I was the worst person to talk to. Needless to say, it wreaked havoc in my relationship, which didn't survive. But the irritability, I mean, how easy is it to be critical of others if you're always feeling like crap? Let's face it, some of us bipolar people we can be kind of cunts sometimes, right? So if you're irritable, it's real easy to be critical of others. And it is a symptom of bipolar. That's a hard one to totally tackle. Anger, another symptom of bipolar. We tend to be, we tend to have a lot of built up anger, and I'm not entirely sure why exactly. I think they might have something to do with our feelings of helplessness, with our mental illness. But it is common, and I'll say this without feeling like I'm making any generalizations here, but a lot of bipolar people do suffer with anger issues. So, naturally, if you're angry, and sometimes when you don't know why, you look for reasons why. Real easy to be critical with that as well. Now, it's no secret that those of us with bipolar suffer with a lot of worry and anxiety. That doesn't make for a very non-critical person. We are constantly anxious or worried about certain things, and I think that because we worry a lot and have a lot of anxiety, we tend to be critical of those who don't take that seriously or don't feel the way we do. I feel like maybe they're just sloughing off or brushing off our feelings. So naturally, that's going to contribute to the criticism that we may direct at others. Pessimism is kind of a thing with bipolar people as well, both outside and inside. We're very pessimistic about our abilities and how the world will treat us, how the world treats people in general. So pessimism is kind of a thing that comes with bipolar depression. That can't help. If we're trying to be less critical, that's something that's definitely not going to help. And naturally that pessimism is going to lead to self-criticism, which is another symptom of bipolar disorder. We are often harder on ourselves. Maybe not manic when we're manic, but we're often harder on ourselves than the world is, because we understand our weakness, we feel helpless against it, and naturally that's not going to elevate us to a certain height. We're not going to feel like that we're well equipped for some of the challenges in the world. So self-criticism is a big one too. And finally, the last of the 6 that I think really contribute to our criticism of others is our indifference. Sometimes we get into a period where we're just not caring one way or another about our situation, about people, about the world in general. Bipolar is pretty distracting, so it's easy to become indifferent to other things when we have our own shit that we're trying to deal with, our own troubles, our own hassles. So indifference is a big one. Now, I'm not saying that our critical bipolar side is okay. I'm certainly not excusing it, but it is important to understand where some of that comes from. So, because if you don't know the source, there's really not a whole lot you can do about it. Am I right? So it's important to know what emotions are triggering what. And I find that these symptoms really do trigger our critical side to others and ourselves, because that's one thing a lot of people don't understand is that you are not alone. We are not just critical of other people. We're very critical of ourselves, you know, and none of that really helps. But I think it's important that you follow the steps that I had outlined in my other videos to help combat your bipolar, whether you're on medication or not, like myself. And if you're not on medication, these things are super important, because don't you ever think for a second that you can tackle this alone without doing anything. It doesn't work like that. And if anything, bipolar will trick you into thinking you got this under control. It doesn't. It's not like that. You have to take an active role in your mental health. So exercising is going to make you feel better about yourself and your body. You know, it's generally just positive for your well-being, including eating right, because if you're putting good foods in you, you feel better, you look better, and good food is just tasty. So naturally, it's going to put you in an elevated or happy state. You know, solfeggio harmonics help kind of tune up your the way your synapses fire, so that you think more clearly, you're a little more balanced. Breathing exercises, because if you're breathing right, your body feels better, you're more calm, you're able to think things through better, and you realize that nothing gets accomplished properly if you're in a panicked and overworked state. So breathing exercises, fantastic. Binaural beats really help to put on some self-affirmations at night. Throw on some headphones and listen to some things to tune in your subconscious, to program you into believing that you are good enough and that you are smart enough and that these challenges can be overcome by you. These are all just little things that would really help, and I highly recommend all of them. Go for long walks. Have somebody you can talk to, so that when you hear your thoughts out, you know, spoken, you can kind of better see them for what they are, you know, so you can determine whether they're silly or if they really are concerns. Anyway, these are some things that might help with your critical nature as a bipolar person, and I hope that that's helped. Thank you so much for your suggestion on the video. You know who you are, and you guys have a fantastic day. I moved into the new studio now and the new place, and I gotta say, I was just thinking today about how big this place is and how much room I've got, and you know, it's quite a bit for a single guy. So I guess you know what's probably coming sometime soon here. I should probably get on that instead of I think I've done a lot of self-work, so you know, maybe it's time to open up the arms and welcome some other special person into my life. These are things that, you know, they're part of the list of things that could really benefit your life. It is important that you do a lot of self-work before you invite somebody into this sometimes chaotic life of bipolar. But that being said, it's up to you to, you know, rid yourself of the chaos and get that balance that you need in order to, you know, blend yourself back into society, contribute, and enjoy the most that this life has to offer. I'm getting too hippy-dippy here, so have yourselves a fantastic day. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, Bipolar Rollers represent.